Welcome back to those of you who've just watched chapter 3. We are now moving swiftly on to chapter 4, so this is your bonus chapter for this week. Just want to summarise the thoughts from chapter 3, which were face the ugly truths by asking questions, understanding, accepting what's going on, but never ever losing faith with the fact that greatness is out there and that you can do it. So that's what the Good to Great leaders did compared to the comparison companies, is they listened, they heard, they dealt with it. And what I want to talk to you about today is how they deal with it. So for those of you in the last video who missed my fabulous drawings, fear not, we have some more. I've never been very good at art, but I am doing my best to improve it, and I'm quite proud of these little fellas here. So today I'm going to share with you some information more around the how of making better decisions more of the time. Now this is really, really useful, not just for people that are running organisations or running teams, but also for ourselves, for us. I share this with people when I'm working on a one-to-one, in a coaching setting with people, to help them make better decisions. And it could be decisions about what job should I do next and what do I really want in life. So it's a bit of life coaching as well in here, which is fabulous. But let's look at it from a business setting for the purpose of today. So this book is all about how to make better decisions. And the start of this chapter talks about two things. They talk about two different personality types, which are the foxes and the hedgehogs. The comparison companies that didn't end up going from good to great, they had leaders. They had these charismatic leaders that swooped in with a huge amount of energy, who knew it all and just wanted people to follow them, and don't worry, they were going to save the day. And then they'd shoot off and do something else. And then they'd find something else that would interest them. And they just were scattered around the place. And they described these people as foxes. They were quite cunning. You know, they'd come in when they saw an opportunity, they'd swoop in, they'd do something, and they'd swoop out again. But what they didn't do was they didn't link anything together. They didn't spend time to think why, how, what. You know, what can we do differently next time? How can we bring all these things together? How can we make it cohesive and stop all these things happening again, or make sure the good stuff that's happening does happen again, is repeatable. So those are your foxes. I'll just move you on to my very gorgeous hedgehog here. The difference with the Good to Great company CEOs was they were described more like hedgehogs, and they had a very simple approach to life. They just wanted to know everything and then distill it down into a very, very simple form of what can we do, how can we do this, and then they stuck to it. So they chose maybe one thing, sometimes two, but mainly just one thing that they could do, that they could be the best at, and then they made sure everybody knew what it was and they stuck to it. They didn't flit in and out and try different things and constantly show up going, wow, I'm amazing, look at me, let's go off in this direction, let's restructure, let's do this, let's do that. So, are you a fast scattered fox, or are you a simple and steady hedgehog? Now some people look at this and go, God, I'd much rather be a fast, scattered fox kind of person. It sounds a little bit more sassy than these very simple and steady hedgehogs. However, it depends on what you want in life, really. Do you want to be able to sleep at night calmly? Do you want to have better health? Do you want to have a good family life? Do you want all the people that work with you, for you and around you to enjoy what they do, know what they're doing and feel comfortable? If you do, then you want to be a bit more hedgehog. So this leads me on to what do the hedgehogs do? And they've termed this the hedgehog concept. And they look at three things to help the hedgehog be ultimately successful in whatever they choose to do. They look at things in three ways when they're making decisions. So when they're deciding how to go from good to great and how to stay there, they look at what is it I am absolutely passionate by. So what do I love doing? What am I passionate about? So it could be a product, it could be the way you work, it could be the type of organisation. It doesn't matter, but it's something they're ultimately passionate about. The next thing that they look at is, what can I be best at? Not what can I be an also-ran at or number 2 at, but what can I actually be best at? Now this could be behaviours, could be product. It can be anything as long as you can be number 1 at it. And the third thing is, does it make economic sense? Is it economically viable to go down this route? Every decision they made was simple and steady. It went through these 3 circles, and if it hit all 3, it hit the spot, and they could use that to be their direction for the future. So this became their vision. It can take a very long time to do that. It takes an awful lot of debate and discussion, and like I said in chapter 3, you've got to listen, you've got to ask, you've got to listen, you've got to ask until you really understand what all the problems are before you can do that. If you try to do this without actually facing the problems first or knowing what issues you could have, you will not make good decisions, because they weren't based on truth. They were based on, fingers crossed, we'll be okay. So if you want to go from good to great, if you want to be number 1 in doing something you absolutely love that's going to make you the money that you need, think about how much fun you would have while you were doing it. It wouldn't feel like work. So think about those 3 things. So out of work, are you passionate about what you do? Are you the best at what you do? And does it make you the money that you need to be able to survive, live the way you want to live? Be more hedgehog, be less fox. Make every decision based on this. Once you've decided what this is, what you love and what you can be number 1 at, and it's economically viable, every other decision goes through that filter. And then guess what? You cannot help but make really, really good decisions. And once you're excited about it and you're passionate about it, you leak it through to the rest of the organisation, who then also become passionate and excited about it. Your vision of this needs to be really clear and really well articulated. And once you've done that, people are engaged. Guess what? You don't need to motivate them and micromanage them, because they all want to be involved. You keep asking, you keep listening, and you may need to change your strategy occasionally, because things happen in the world. But whatever changes you make sure they are in line with this. One final thing to say, which was very, very interesting about this chapter, was that people who started to do this, as CEOs from the good to great companies that started to do this, sometimes had to completely get rid of their core business. So just because your core business is what it is, does not mean that that is the thing that you can be best at. And that is a really bold, brave thing to do, which made the good to great companies have the most phenomenal return on investment once they've made those decisions and put the plans in place to be number 1 in something else. Maybe it was just a small diversification, maybe it was massive, but they made a bold move. The thing they were doing right now wasn't the thing that was going to take them to number 1. So think about what it could be that can to get you there. Also think about what isn't going to get you there, and make sure you listen and take heed of the answers from both of those, put them through this filter, and see how brilliant you can be. So that's the end of chapter 4. I hope you found that useful. Any questions, any thoughts, any comments, as ever, please send them to me. Be happy to look at those, answer those, and just interested to see how useful or not you're finding this information. So take care of yourselves, everyone, and I look forward to seeing you next week.